Hello everyone, it's Jody McRoberts. At the June meeting of the Pulaski KY Strong Towns group, we watched a video from Strong Towns 101. This is a free online course and I'll put a link in the description in case you want to sign up for this great course. So the video that we watched is entitled Solving the Problems of the Great Depression. I'm going to do an overview of this video. It'll take me about 5 minutes or so, but hang in there, there's a lot of great information. So the Great Depression was a very difficult time. No one really understood what caused it, and no one knew how to get out of it. The New Deal under President Franklin Roosevelt was a series of experiments to try to get things working again. The thing that quote-unquote fixed the Great Depression was World War II. It got gross domestic product growing again, and it solved the unemployment crisis. We sent millions of people overseas to fight, and we put millions of other people to work in factories making the machines of war. Toward the end of World War II, when it was apparent that the United States was going to win the war, the economy is starting to get concerned. The thought was, if we bring back millions of troops and if we shut down all these factories, what's going to happen? We're going to slide right back into depression again. It will be economic disaster. So that was the thought of a lot of economists. The U.S. was trying to create a system to prevent this. A lot of things that were tried in the Great Depression to arrest the fall in housing prices were actually very logical. Before the Great Depression, housing was financed by local banks. These local banks didn't issue 30-year mortgages because they couldn't take on that type of risk. They issued 3, 5, or 7-year loans that required a down payment of about 50% and that had a balloon payment on the end. When the homeowner got to the end of the loan, they would be able to refinance it. In the Great Depression, housing prices dropped dramatically. The banks weren't willing to refinance loans because of this. Now people who could still pay their monthly mortgage payments had their homes foreclosed on because of it. So the federal government stepped in. They insured mortgages. They lowered the amount of down payment required. They created mortgages with a longer term and lower monthly payments. They were trying to arrest the downward spiral of housing prices. After World War II, we took the tools that were used to help to arrest decline and we used them to create growth. The thought was, if we extend payment terms, if we lower the initial payment, and if we create the GI Bill, we can get more people into houses. We can grow our economy very quickly if more and more people have access to credit and the things that will build wealth. These tools were used to grow our economy very quickly and to reproduce the pattern of development over and over again. It worked very well. When we compare the growth of cities before and after World War II, we see that there was a massive horizontal expansion after the war. We call it suburbanization. Some people call it sprawl. It is a complicated, stagnant, static growth pattern that we have repeated over and over again. This horizontal growth means more infrastructure and more financial strain on our cities. So here's an example of what that growth has done in the city of Lafayette, Louisiana. In 1949, the population of Lafayette was 33,500. In 2015, the population was 121,000, so that's a 3.5 times growth. In 1949, it took just 5 feet of pipe per person to provide water. But in 2015, it took 50 feet of pipe per person to provide water because of this horizontal growth we experienced. So that's 10 times more pipe. In 1949, it took 2.4 fire hydrants per person to provide fire protection. In 2015, it took 51.3 fire hydrants per person to provide fire protection. So that's 21.4 more times. We created a system of growth that is very easy to do and very easy to copy, but did it create wealth? Did it result in increased prosperity? So in 1950, the average family income in Lafayette was $27,000. Now that adjustment is that's inflation adjusted income level. In 2015, the average family income was $45,000. So that's 1.6 times more income from 1950 to 2015. But the liability in pipes grew 10 times more, and the liability and the need for fire protection in those fire hydrants grew 21.4 times, but the income only grew 1.6 times. So we see families in the U.S. taking on more debt and reducing their savings and growing more fragile and less prosperous despite all of the growth. We set out to solve a problem, but we lacked the feedback to help us change our approach because we continue to grow and grow. The next video in the course will compare systems that are complex, like that we used to see in the traditional growth pattern in our cities, compared to those that are complicated, like what we see in the suburban expansion. We'll see how that feedback mechanism was removed as we begin this horizontal expansion and how we can get it back. So in the July meeting of Pulaski KY Strong Towns Group, we're going to watch a video called Complex versus Complicated. So we'll view all of this. So thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you can join us at our July meeting on July 18th at noon at the Energy Center in downtown Somerset in the City Council chambers. Hope to see you there.